If you have a lovely pet, you must take care of them. Listen to Sophie the vet. I'll help you with your friend. Love them, help them, learn it's cool. Come and join in Sophie's Vet School.
Hello everyone, I'm Sophie and I'm a vet. And today we're going to talk bunny basics, and there'll be plenty of time at the end to ask me lots of questions. So let's start with how you're going to handle your rabbits, because this is really important. You must make sure they feel safe and secure. So you can see from this lovely little picture here that this little girl is handling her bunny just perfectly. She has one arm underneath their chest and another arm underneath the back and the leg area, because bunny backs are really delicate. So you need to make sure you keep really good control of those backs and keep all four of their feet close up against your body. They like to feel nice and safe. I always say only pick them up for 1 to 2 minutes at a time, especially while they're getting used to it. Plus, bunnies don't really like being too high up. It's best if you can do this. Have them on your lap. This way they can hop on and off and they feel much more comfortable and safe. Remember, don't make any loud noises or any sudden movements around your rabbits, because that can make them really scared. And if they struggle, put them on the floor. Having them on the floor like this is one of the best things to do. Here they can play, they can roam around whilst you groom them and you feed them their favourite treat, and they don't feel nervous and worried. Now there's some things that you must never do. You must never pick your bunnies up by their ears, and you must never pick them up by the scruff of their neck. And by that I mean the loose skin around their neck. They don't like that. Also, here's a couple of pictures showing you things that you shouldn't do. So we've got a bunny here that's being held up with his legs in the air. He's going to feel really insecure in that position. And also we've got this little bunny here that's being held on his back. Now bunnies being held on their back, they look like they're sleeping and they're feeling quite relaxed, but they're really scared. So always make sure you keep your bunnies close to you or let them roam around and have their freedom. And make sure after you've been holding them that you wash your hands. So next of all, we're going to think about how you're going to set up your bunny's home. Now, one of the things that you need to make sure, whether they live indoors or outdoors, they've got plenty of space to stretch their lovely bodies out and also to be able to stand on their hind legs. So you don't want a hutch or a home that's too low down. These bunnies love to stretch and move. And the other thing that's really important is a space where they can get some exercise. Now, I know not all of you will have a garden, but if you can, then check this little bunny out, having a great old run around. Exercise is so important, a bit like it is for you and for me. We need to keep fit and healthy, and we need to stop our bunnies from getting bored. Now, if you don't have outside space, that's fine. Look at this cool bunny. He's wearing a harness, and bunnies can be walked outside like a dog. Now, if you're fitting a harness on a rabbit, it takes a little bit of time. They need to get used to the harness, and it needs to be nice and soft and fitted correctly. So you'll probably need to get some help with this. Plus, take your time. You can't just put the harness on and take them out for a walk. Bunnies take time in getting used to things, but they're super clever. So once they've picked it up, they'll be more than happy to come out for a walk with you. Now, let's talk about wee and poo. Why not? So there needs to be a space in your bunny's home where they can go to the toilet. Now this is a little house bunny, and he's been litter trained like a cat. House bunnies are able to be litter trained, and because bunnies are super clean, it's really easy to do that. But again, it just takes time. But if you are keeping them in a hutch, then you need to make sure the hutch area has space where they can go to the toilet. So you can see the way this hutch is set up. One side with that nice big solid door, which means they can go to sleep in there and not feel scared. No one can look in at them. They feel really safe. They've got a bit of space there for exercise, but if you've got to run as well, then great, even if you just let them out for exercise each day. And then you've got a space the other end where they can go to the toilet. Now you've got to make sure that you clean your bunnies out, and they need to be cleaned out every week really thoroughly. So hot, warm, sort of soapy water, giving the hutch a really, really good scrub. And then you need to replace it with lots of nice fresh bedding. Every day I would visit their home and I would remove any bedding that looks wet or has got poo or there's old food. And remember that part of the hutch is going to be open so it lets air through, and that's to help our bunnies, stopping them getting breathing problems. Also, we want to keep our hutch in the shelter, so away from the wind and the cold, especially in the winter months when they can get a bit chilly. But to stop them from getting too cold, you want to give your bunny a really lovely cozy bed. So we have a lovely bunny here, or bunnies, having a lovely sleep on some hay and some straw. Now it's important to get the bed just right, and you might be tempted to use other things like newspaper, but if rabbits eat newspaper, that can make them really sick. The ink can make them ill. If you want to soak up their lovely wee, then use cardboard. That's often the best and the safest thing to use. But lots of lovely straw during the winter months will keep them cozy and warm. Why do we want to use things like that? Bunnies will chew everything. Anything that you pop into their home, they'll be tempted to chew. So it's got to be really lovely and safe. And make sure that hay and straw isn't dusty, so give it a good shake, or make sure you get it from a pet shop or somewhere that you know it's really nice and clean. Now you might be tempted to use sawdust. And sawdust is okay, but it's not really ideal for our rabbits. Sawdust is really designed for our small little mice and rats and things. And even them might prefer a different type of bedding, and that's because sawdust can get very, very dusty. So avoid sawdust if you can and go back to your straw and your hay. Now rabbits love to have fresh water every day. Now I'm going to show you a little picture here, which is my favourite, and that's two bunnies having a lovely drink out of a water bowl. Now bunnies love to drink out of bowls because it's the most natural thing for them to do. You need to make sure you wash that bowl out every day with hot soapy water and replace it with some lovely fresh water. Now some of you may have your bunnies drinking out of a bottle, like one of these, known as a sipper bottle. And these are great, but the only problem is they can get clogged at the end and frozen in the winter. I think the best thing is to have a sipper bottle and a bowl, so if they knock the bowl over or the sipper bottle gets clogged, they've got another option and they can pick their favourite. Just make sure you put fresh water in every day and make sure that they have plenty of water available. Rabbits absolutely love to play. Now you want to set up some little spaces of places where they can play and have games that keeps them entertained, stops them from getting bored. This is just a really simple little wooden tunnel that you can just buy a wooden tunnel like this from a pet store. You can, if you've got the outside space. Now this is pretty cool, but it does take space which you might not have. But check this out. This is just twigs and logs and bits of old wood so they can jump around and have a great time playing. It'll work really well if you've got the space, but I understand that that's not always the case. And if you have a house bunny, you might need to set up something in the home. Again, you do need space for this one, but it gives you a few ideas of things that you could use. This is pretty cool. There's a sand pit in there, there's an untreated wicker basket and lots of places for them to jump around on. But the thing is, you don't need to have exciting things for them like this. You can do something very simple, like take a cardboard box, here's one I did earlier, and make them a little cardboard tunnel. You can see I've put a space here and a space here. I've just cut out two tunnel areas. And what I have done with this cardboard box is I've removed all the sellotape and things so that they don't chew it. But your bunnies will have just as much fun playing with this. And you could get really inventive. You could get a tube, and maybe a bigger tube for your bigger bunnies. You could have all sorts of things. One tube running to your next box. But this will give you something to make. Perhaps try making something at home, a bunny palace. Now, one thing that our bunnies absolutely love doing is digging. Look at this bunny's little bum in the air as it's digging itself a lovely hole. It's something that's really natural to them. And again, you might not have the outside space to allow them to do that. But what you can do is make a digging box. I've made this digging box, which I think is really cool. And it's just basically a cardboard box. I've gone out into the garden and I've picked lots of twigs in there. There's lots in there that you probably can't see them all, but there's loads of twigs. I've cut up some strips of cardboard and I've shredded up some paper. And to make it even more fun, you could get your bunnies pellets or their favourite treats, throw those in there. Now you've got a really fun little digging space for them. So maybe try that. They will absolutely love that, and it's fun for you to make. Now, when it comes to our bunnies, we need to think about what are we going to feed them. Now, bunnies spend a long time chewing, and they should be eating hay or grass. That should make up the major part of their diet, and that's because it's very high in fibre. And what that means is our bunnies' tummies that are very, very sensitive need the fibre to keep them working properly, to stop them from getting sick. Did you know that bunnies cannot actually be sick, which is why the fibre is so important to keep everything going through and coming out as poo. Also, things like hay and grass, the way that they eat them, it basically wears their teeth down, and teeth get really, really long in bunnies that don't have lots of hay and grass. Now, if your rabbit isn't used to having grass, then you need to introduce it little and often, so just a little bit here and there, because again, if they've never had it before, it could upset their tummies if you give too much. Never ever give grass from the lawnmower clippings. So if your mummy, your daddy, your grandparents have been mowing the lawn and you're tempted to throw some of that grass in with your bunnies, don't do it. Where it's been crushed and it's hot, it can cause tummy problems for your bunny. The best way to feed grass is to pull it up or to cut it with a pair of scissors. So I was saying about your bunny's teeth. Look at these lovely big gnashes. So these are really healthy teeth in a bunny, but did you know that bunnies' teeth can grow up to 12 centimetres every year? That's pretty big. Can you imagine that coming out of your mouth? Be pretty long, right? So you definitely need to make sure that you get lots of hay in there to keep them short. If your bunny's teeth get too long, that's going to make their mouth really sore, and they might start drooling, their mouth may be wet, or they may lose weight, or they may drop their food. If you notice those things, then it means your bunny isn't feeling too well. You need to come and see me, a vet. So, bunnies also love to eat pellets. Here's some pellets here in the bowl. But as they get older, they tend to need less of these and still lots and lots of hay. I always say around about a handful, so a smallish handful every day per bunny works just perfectly with pellets. Now, one thing that we know that bunnies really love are these lovely vegetables, carrots. Rabbits absolutely love carrots. But here's the deal. A rabbit eating a carrot is like you eating a big chocolate bar. Lots of sugar in carrots, and if they eat them too often, it can upset their tummies, it can make them put on weight, and it can give them other health issues. So therefore, you need to feed carrots only in small amounts and not too often. There are much better vegetables out there to feed, things like broccoli, kale, and celery. They're all fantastic options. Did you know that sweet potatoes and potatoes can be poisonous to rabbits? So don't feed those. Now, going back to our fruits, rabbits absolutely love fruit. Look at this bunny tucking into a strawberry. They really do love strawberries and grapes and other juicy fruits, but again, they're high in sugar. So we can only feed them as a very small treat now and again, not too often. Your vegetables, you can feed plenty of those, and actually it's great to feed a bit of vegetable every day, but the fruit only in small amounts. One thing that rabbits absolutely love are herbs. Oregano, basil and mint are some of their absolute favourites. And if you can, one day perhaps you could get yourself a mint or a basil plant, and you could take really good care of it, water it every day, and feed your bunny a bit of that every day. He will love that. So I want you now to meet my bunnies.
Come and join in Sophie's vet school.
So this is one of my bunnies, Bigwig, and he also has a little friend called Hoppity who is asleep at the moment. And they are both male, and they are what we call a bonded pair, and that basically means that they play together, they often sleep together, and they eat together, and they groom each other. It's really advisable to either adopt or to purchase a male or a female that are already bonded, or a bonded male or a bonded female pair, because it's really difficult to get them used to one another. But it's really important that they have a friend too, as they really enjoy each other's company. So there you saw one of my bunnies, Bigwig, and Hoppity, his friend, was having a little snooze, and I was talking about something called a bonded pair. Basically, Hoppity and Bigwig are really good friends, and they've become friends over a period of time, and that basically means that they groom each other, they play together, they share their toys, they can eat together and sleep next to each other. If you are going to keep rabbits in pairs, then you want to make sure you either adopt or buy a bonded male or female pair. Rabbits can get really lonely, and they really love their own company, so they really love company with other bunnies, and sometimes you might be tempted to put bunnies in with guinea pigs. Now, I'd advise you not to do that for a couple of reasons. So guinea pigs need lots of vitamin C, which our rabbits don't need. So they eat very different diets. And also rabbits carry quite a nasty bacteria on their coats that can be dangerous to guinea pigs. So it's really not a good idea to keep them together. It's a good idea to keep rabbits with other rabbits. And if you can't keep more than one rabbit, then that's absolutely fine. You just need to make sure that you become their best friend. That's really very important. So what sort of things can you do apart from making them a really cool cardboard palace? You can also groom your bunny. They love to be brushed, especially if they have long hair like this lovely big fluffy bunny. So bunnies will groom themselves, and they normally do a really good job of that, and they'll wash themselves or they'll wash each other, and they'll get rid of all that dead hair. You don't want them to swallow too much hair because that can upset their tummies. But if they have long hair like this bunny, then getting yourself a nice soft brush and brushing them every day will help to get rid of all that long hair. Also, it will help to stop the fur from getting matted. So no clumps of fur that you can't get a brush through, that's a mat. If you do get a mat in a bunny's coat, never be tempted to cut it out with scissors, because scissors can cut their skin, and bunnies have very, very delicate skin. The other thing you can do whilst grooming your bunny is check this lovely area. So their lovely, beautiful, bright eyes, ears and nose. And if you're going to give their eyes a little clean, then just a wet cotton wool bud will be absolutely perfect for giving the eyes a little wash around. Make sure that their noses are nice and clean, and that there's nothing dirty within their ears as well. Check their nails and make sure they aren't too long either. These things are all really important, and the more you handle your rabbit, the more you check these things, the more used to all of those things they will get. Now, here's one really important area, and one of my favourite areas on a bunny, their bottoms. Bunnies have very, very cute little bottoms. However, you need to make sure that you keep those bottoms nice and clean. So you want to check them every day and make sure that there's no poo or wee or anything horrible around their bottom, and if there is, clean it off with warm water and cotton wool. Now, why do you want to do this? Well, you want to do it because when the sun is shining and it starts to get really warm, we get lots of flies, and if bunnies have poo and wee and things around their bottom, then flies can lay their eggs, and then we get maggots. Ugh. Now this is called fly strike and it can make your bunny really poorly. So please check their bottoms every day. We're going to be revisiting rabbits in a few weeks and looking more at their health problems and the things that they need, like flea treatments and worming and vaccinations and health trips to the vet, and what you can do to help at home. I'm going to set you some homework. So what your homework today for me is, what I want you to be able to do is draw me a picture of your bunny, or perhaps another bunny that you've seen and you love, and send it to me because I really want to share those pictures. Plus, get yourself some cardboard if you can and make yourself something fun for your rabbit to play with. You can add lots of different boxes to this and make something really, really fun. Just make sure it's nice and safe, no sellotape for them to chew on, and lots of space for them to get in and out. And what I want to know now is, do you have any questions for me?